Right now, it is my great pleasure to welcome three people to the stage who are dedicated volunteers and fosters, which are the absolute lifeblood of our organization. Up first will be the wonderful Luca, followed by Laura and Danielle. We are so grateful for all they do, so please join me giving a very warm welcome to Luca to get things started.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. The energy here is truly incredible. My name is Luca, and I'm a student at Northwestern, and I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about why Pause and Pause means so much to me. So I'll start with the story about how I found out about these incredible people. It was a cold October morning, and my friend invited me for a slice of pie. I, of course, said yes, and we ended up walking through a part of town that I had never been in before. Completely by chance, I happened to turn my head and glance through a window. And in that window was the most adorable tiny black kitten that I had ever seen. All I could think about in that moment was about my own cat, Ella. Now, I grew up as an only child, so I was used to coming home from school and seeing an empty house. But that all changed after Ella was there. It's an incredible feeling to know that there's somebody there always waiting for me, even if it is just for a treat. And Ella never fails to make me smile. So, the first thing I did when I got home, besides to finish my pie, was to fill out an interest form. That next week was my orientation, and I remember how excited everyone else was to be there. Sean was incredibly enthusiastic, and he welcomed me in a way that made me feel like I was already at home. But my favorite part of that day was playing with that same kitten I saw in the window. That was when I knew that this was a place I wanted to give my time to. Something that's really stood out to me is how the staff remembered my name after just one shift. Now, they might seem like something small, but in a place with so many volunteers, almost 400 of us, it really does mean a lot. It showed me how deeply the staff care, not just about the cast, but about every person who walks through our doors. And the volunteers are just as amazing. Every single one I've met is so passionate and so kind. When I was just starting out, everyone was always willing to lend me a helping hand. And every shift since then, I've seen people stepping up to help each other and do more than even beyond what they were asked. One of my favorite parts of volunteering is the time I get to spend with these incredible people. We've built a community, and getting to connect with them makes every shift feel like I'm working with friends. And by now, I think I can say that I really am. It's hard to put into words just how much I appreciate these conversations, especially when I'm buried in exams and medical school applications. It's the break I didn't know I needed. And then there's, of course, the cats. I love seeing community members, and especially kids, stop outside our windows and smile at them. It reminds me of how I first got involved, and it gives me hope that Pause and Pause can be a source of joy for the Evanston community. And of course, a place where these cats can find loving homes. Pause and Pause is exceptional because everyone cares about each other, the community, and the cats. It's given me something to look forward to every weekend, and it's made me feel like I can have a real impact. I can't help but smile every time I come in and learn that a cat has found a new home, and to think that I had a role in keeping them happy and ready to find a family to love. Pause and Pause isn't just a place to volunteer. It's a chance for me to help bring the same joy I found in Ella to so many other homes. Thank you.
My name is Laura Chalmers, and by day, I'm a personality hire at a not-for-profit organization, but by night, I'm a foster and volunteer at Pause and Pause Cat Rescue. Woo! You know, the other day, as I was scraping kitten poop off my walls, it occurred to me how incredibly fortunate I am to be a part of this amazing community. You see, for most of my life, I struggled with low self-esteem. When I was in elementary school, they actually used to grade us on self-esteem. I don't recommend it, it's not a good pedagogical tool, but in any case, I always got the lowest possible grade. It didn't help the issue, but that was something that I really carried with me for most of my life. Fast forward forward to a couple of years ago, and I learned the alarming rate at which orphan neonatal kittens were euthanized in shelters, and I decided I really wanted to help. So I called Paws and Claws, and I got to speak with Ashlyn. And I was so blown away by her compassion and kindness and warmth, and how much she loved this work that she was doing. So I decided, let's go. Let's get some kittens in here. So we got 5 orphan neonatal kittens. These babies were between 4 and 6 days old. Their little eyes were still closed. Their umbilical cords were still attached. Their little ears were just opening up. They were so cute. And oh my God, did they ever try and die? Rude, honestly. They were so sick. They were completely lethargic. I want you to enjoy your dinner, so you should plug your ears for a moment. They got horrible diarrhea. They refused to eat. Turns out that's important. 2 of them got limbs that got so swollen that one of them couldn't walk for 2 weeks. That same kitten I found completely unresponsive. Twice. Both times at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was super fun. But through it all, Ashlyn was there. I have a theory that Ashlyn neither eats nor sleeps because every time I texted and called, she would answer immediately. And she taught me everything I needed to know to actually make a difference in these tiny lives. She taught me how to give B12 shots. She taught me how to syringe feed drop by drop when they really didn't want to eat. She taught me how to tube feed when that failed. She taught me how to give subcutaneous fluids. She taught me how to go into fainting kitten protocol. She taught me how to do teeny tiny kitten physiotherapy on the teeny tiny kittens with the soul in it. And through it all, my confidence grew. I felt like I was actually developing skills that was really making a difference in these tiny, vulnerable lives. So I decided, let's take this one step further. And I began volunteering in the physical space. And that's when I met this amazing, warm, lovely community that is at Paws and Claws. And that really is down to the folks who work there. That is because of Julia and Haley and Jeffrey and Scout and Shanti and of course, Sean and Ashlyn. Woo!
And Shanti!
I love you guys so much, by the way. Now, those 5 little sick kittens that I took in are happy and healthy and thriving and committing crime across the greater Chicago area, along with 19 other kittens that we fostered through Paws and Claws. And that is amazing. But what's even more remarkable is the story I was telling about myself changed. I didn't feel like a person with low self-confidence anymore. I felt like somebody who was resilient and capable and able to do hard things. I felt like kind of a badass. And I owe that to Paws and Claws. Thank you so much.
I remember my first Paws and Claws transport. It was a routine afternoon transport to a vet clinic in Lisle to pick up the apple kittens who had just been fixed. I immediately bonded with Macintosh, Mac, a small brown tabby kitten. We chatted the entire ride and sang along to the soundtrack for Marvel's Captain America musical, which was the only thing that made the rest of the kittens come down. I was hooked. So much so that for my second transport, I arrived at Paws and Claws 10 minutes early for my 6:30 in the morning pickup. When a bleary-eyed Ashlyn answered the door, I could only imagine her thinking, Danielle Zimmerman, are you kidding me? Joking, she would never think that, let alone say that. I don't think. That morning, while I was excited to get going, I was struck by the peacefulness throughout 829 Chicago Avenue. I didn't know it then, but it was a place I'd come to love and crave. The opening of the surgical suite last year, funded by the generosity of this community, was a huge, amazing win for Paws and Claws. It allowed them to keep their cats in their care and do their own spays and neuters. It was also, though, a small, conflicted defeat for me because all I wanted to do was be involved. But I'd never volunteered for an organization in my life, and I didn't know how to volunteer in person. And so for about 6 months, I'd find excuses to constantly walk by the rescue, like doing my own version of Breakfast at Tiffany's, which you may see still on their Instagram every once in a while. But I was very much feeling like an outsider looking in, but just not quite ready to become a full volunteer. This past November, I finally did my first cat care shift. Within minutes, I knew I made a mistake in waiting so long. Everyone there, from the staff to the other volunteers, immediately made me feel comfortable and wanted. They are some of the most passionate, kind-hearted, and good-humored people I've ever met. And the cats were pretty big too. I remember leaving that first shift feeling extremely zen, and like 829 Chicago, with all of the people and cats in it, felt like home to me. I'm still dropping by the rescue every moment that I can, but the difference now is that when I do, I feel welcome inside. There's always something for me to do, ways for me to contribute to this place that I've come to know as home. In fact, sometimes I feel like I'm there a little bit too much, but I constantly check in about that. As of today, thank you. As of today, I'm a transporter, cat care crew member, visitor valet, paw print club member, foster, and lifelong cheerleader of this amazing organization. I've become a better, more informed cat owner and an even bigger cat lover than I already was, which I didn't realize was possible. And when I'm fortunate enough to be at 829 Chicago for closing, after all of the visitors and other volunteers had left, the cats are settling in for the night, and it's just me and another staff member, usually Julia, I feel an overwhelming sense of peace wash over me. Peace and belonging. If I can feel that after just a handful of months, I'm positive that all 829 cats who passed through their doors last year and every other cat whose lives they've saved have felt the same way. My hope is that everyone here is able to feel that someday too. I'll leave you with this. It's so much better to be involved than to watch from the sidelines, or on the other side of that large window. Paws and Claws gives so much more than it gets in every way possible. So I invite you to join me in giving it as much as we can in hopes of making sure that they always have what they need to save as many lives as they can. Thank you.
Folks, once again, let's hear it.